Hello everybody and welcome to day 5-6, I think, of our Italy vlog. We didn't do one yesterday, just going until late. What time did we get back in the room last night? 11?
That's not really that late. That's like old people late.
Well, we had an amazing dinner at a local restaurant that you found last night that wasn't so touristy.
Mm-hmm. Really, really good tiramisu.
Really good tiramisu.
Which is like top 3 favorite dessert of mine.
Would you say that you're a tiramisu connoisseur?
No.
Oh.
But I could become one.
You'd like to?
That seems like a good goal.
Let's talk about ISO for a minute. One of the things that I notice about folks who, and I don't want to label them beginners on this trip, but people who don't have a ton of photographic experience, they feel like they need to stay at very low ISOs. And certainly, lower ISOs are going to give you a cleaner image. But there have been times on this trip where I've noticed folks sacrificing shutter speed to keep their ISO low. And please remember, yes, those higher ISOs are noisy, which is the other way to say what I just said a second ago. But a noisy image is way preferable to a blurry image because you went to a slow shutter speed.
You remember you can correct noise in post-processing, but you cannot correct motion blur.
And a properly exposed higher ISO image is not going to have a ton of noise. If you don't pixel peep, don't pixel peep. That's one thing I wanted to say to make this a useful vlog. The second thing I wanted to say is, well, as you know, I've been traveling lighter, talking about that some, and we're going to share, you know, in a few more days, or maybe even after we're back, we'll really share the gear we used most. But spoiler, I've been walking around with that Sony a lot. We had a fairly epic day yesterday because we did the Vatican tour, the Vatican museums, the Sistine Chapel,
the
Pantheon, St. Peters Basilica.
Well, I guess we jumped.
Right, yeah. Not in that order. But, you know, I thought, you know, should I take my 5D Mark III? It's a full frame camera. It has a better lens. It's a better sensor. It's going to get better pictures. But the type of pictures that I thought about making in these locations that we were going, on tours and very crowded, you know, they're not going to be epic pictures that I want prints of. They're going to be pictures that I want to document. I was here, I saw this,
well, you may
or this is something interesting to remember and share with family and friends to say, look at this bust of, you know, so-and-so.
Right. I mean, you may want to print it if you're putting together like a little personal album or something.
Yes.
So you should still consider the conditions and try to take a properly exposed photo. But yes,
oh, yes.
Going back to your point.
My point being,
these aren't going to be super original, like incredible pictures.
Yes.
Because these places just are, and I don't know, I think to a very large extent it's really important to just take it all in, aside, you know, in addition to taking pictures,
right.
Just because
right.
They're amazing.
You may or may not know this, that the Sistine Chapel, no photography is allowed. So the Sistine Chapel, of course, is Michelangelo's masterpiece. The whole ceiling of this chapel painted in these unbelievable frescoes. No, sorry, they're not frescoes. Yeah, they are frescoes. And they've recently restored them. Here is why, well, I always get sidetracked. You're not allowed to take photos in there because Nippon, also known as Nikon Industries, came along and paid for the restoration. They said, during the restoration, we want full exclusivity to the rights of all of the paintings, frescoes that we're restoring. Nobody else can take any pictures. It actually technically was only professional photographers wouldn't be allowed because Nikon and Nippon TV wanted to make a series of books, which they did. They put out a series of very high quality images, and you know, they used their best gear and scans and things like that. And that was only in effect for a few years after the restoration in each of the sections finished. We are well past that point, but because they don't want any flash, because that can damage the frescoes being repeatedly hit with light like that, they have just said no.
No pictures
no
at
pictures.
all. And I think that's because some people just, either don't care and won't turn off their flash, or don't know how to turn their flash off and won't do it. So they can't really control, you know, everybody not firing their flash. So I sort of understand that. They were kind of mean, though, in there. And that took away from my enjoyment. I will say that.
Well, what also took away from the enjoyment is it was literally herded like cattle into there. Boom, boom, boom. And then there was lots of shouting of, "You can't stop here." But then we did find a quieter corner and just stopped and contemplated.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
I may
incredible.
or may not have taken a few sneaky photos. I may or may not have been told by the guard not to be pointing my camera up at all.
Well, that's, you weren't even doing anything, or were you trying to sneakily? You were. He was. So you deserve that. I felt bad for you.
Oh, you did?
No, I don't.
I wasn't doing anything. I was just carrying my camera. I swear. So, that was all yesterday. And 2 points out of that. The ISO and travel lighter and enjoy the experience. Don't try to make epic photos because, well, I feel bad saying don't try to make epic photos.
They will be epic because the place is epic. But at the same time, you know, I think that it's, you know, sometimes the photos don't do it justice. So if the only memory you have is of a picture and you didn't really take time to really appreciate the place, then you won't really remember what you felt like when you were there and what you were thinking. So, I don't know if that makes sense. But,
yeah.
That's what I think.
Let's talk about today briefly. Oh, and then we wandered off. We went off to that restaurant, just you and I. Had a lovely dinner, and then wandered back, took a little longer time-lapse with a GoPro, which I put up on Instagram today. I'll put a link to that. It's okay. It was a good practice for one that I did tonight that I hope is better, but now I'm worried it's not because I left image stabilization on. Anyway, and then we wandered over to the Colosseum at night and just wandered around it, took a few handheld pictures of the A5100 and just explored that, and then came back here. Well, yeah, like 11-ish or so. Got up this morning at 8.
Walked all day.
No exaggeration.
Yeah.
We walked all day.
All day.
We had one short taxi ride. We did the... What did we do?
Well, we went to a church in the
morning.
morning.
Well, this morning we hit a couple churches.
That
One
I couldn't get into because I was wearing shorts.
Yes. Remember, if you come to Rome, especially if you're female, you got to wear pants if you want to go into most of the cathedrals and churches.
Yeah.
Or skirts. Cover your legs. They have guys outside that sell stuff. But
mind you that men can wear really short shorts and get in just fine, but, you know, I'm not going to accuse anybody of sexism.
We did go to another church that had... just had finished Mass, and it was very smoky in there and got the sunbeam through the smoke into the church. So I'm looking forward to editing that picture, and I hope it's as epic as it looked on the back of the camera. That was a cool picture. Then we walked over to the marketplace, wandered around that for quite a while. This was the Fiore di Plaza?
Campo de Fiore.
Campo de Fiore, and just open air market, selling all kinds of delicious things. I bought my mom a present. I bought us a present, some pesto.
I bought me a present.
You bought you a present. Something made out of leather. Then we hopped in a taxi. We were with two other McKay folks, Zachary and Nathan. Really, everybody's just been awesome. Met up with everybody for Colosseum Roman Forum tour.
That was really long, but really, really awesome.
We had an amazing tour guide.
So much.
Yep. Just very interesting.
Amazing.
And the Colosseum, you know, if you've been to Yankee Stadium, just picture it in all bricks, but missing some pieces. There you go.
But amazing.
But it was made 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, 1,000 years old.
And yeah, it's very awesome. Roman Forum, all of those ruins and how over the years they've been used or misused and what has fallen down and what hasn't. The key if you want to preserve something is turn it into a church. Everything that got turned into a church got preserved. Things that didn't got all, what do you call that, vandalized and sacked and for all of the bits and pieces to make other things.
Yeah. So we walked and walked and walked some more.
Yep.
And then we went back to the Colosseum.
We get that detail. Then we went back to the Colosseum as a McKay group for some night photography. Had a lot of fun. As I said, I shot some time lapses with the 5D. I put a picture on Facebook of what I went out with tonight, the 5D and the 24 to 105 and the trigger trap stuff. And I did a time lapse with a longer time lapse using the trigger trap stuff. I'm excited to try that. I also ran the GoPro a little bit too, but that was a lot of fun. And I had actually jaunted back here, I don't know. I popped back to the hotel for a half an hour. You haven't been back to the hotel since 8 a.m. Well, we left at like 9:30 actually, I guess is when we actually left this morning. So you're just walking back in now and it's 11. Somebody asked us how we're doing with all of the walking and traveling, how we're feeling.
I think okay. Like I'm usually, when we travel, we like to walk pretty much everywhere or take the metro. That's just what we're used to. So I think I'm fine walking. I think it's just been really important to like stay fed, stay hydrated.
Wow, it's very warm. It's abnormally warm.
Yeah, it's been really hot, which is why I didn't care that I didn't get into the church, even though I was wearing short shorts, because it was, I mean, I was happy the rest of the day because I was comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I've been on my feet all day, so my ankles are pretty swollen, so that's not fun.
That's more detail than they need.
So, anyway, they asked how we were doing, so I'm telling them.
Yes. I have a pair of flip-flops that are super comfy. I love them. I wear them all the time.
Yeah, and I've been wearing, today I wore flip-flops, so I want to stay cool. And I have a pair of leather Oxfords that I've been wearing. Super simple shoes. I broke them in, before I came here. Finished breaking them in here with socks on.
I think they're broken in now.
They're definitely broken in.
But walking is a great way to explore because you got your camera in hand, you see something you want to take a picture of, you stop and take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Taxis, buses, those are good too. But, when you're going directly from one point to another, you don't always have the option to stop.
Right.
But let's wrap this up.
Yes.
Tomorrow, we leave early in the morning for Sorrento, stopping for a tour of Pompeii, which I'm quite excited about because growing up as a kid, you heard about this town that was just by the volcano and the preserved, forms of bodies. But our tour guide today, we're also going to go to Herculaneum.
I'm not sure how to say it actually, so I can't correct you this time.
This time. That's the difference. And our tour guide really said that place, Herculaneum, is amazing, even better than Pompeii, she thinks, in her opinion. So we're going to be going to that in the following day, and then headed down the Amalfi Coast. Exciting. Some of our group leaves here. This next part is the extension, so we're going to get a little smaller, but most people have elected to go on down the Amalfi Coast because, as most travel guides say, it is considered by many people to be one of the most beautiful stretches of rock and ocean sea in the world.
We're pretty darn excited.
Yep. That's all. I think we can finish there.
Great.
Don't sacrifice your shutter speed for your ISO. Nighty-night.